Good evening and a very warm welcome to all our Satsangis today at the School of Ancient Wisdom, Spiral of Wisdom Satsangs that happen every Thursday, started by Ma Manize many years ago. And my name is Ramesh RK, and I will be presenting, hosting today's Satsang. And before we start, may I request Swati to start off?
Good evening, everyone. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati, for that wonderful prayer. That really indicates to us that we're all a little spark of divine light, and we are all interconnected and part of the whole. So today we have a very unusual speaker, and with an unusual participative session. We're really looking forward to this. It is the topic today is Mahabharata dialogue by Abhilash Purohit ji. A quick intro on Abhilash ji. Abhilash Purohit ji is an entrepreneur and corporate educator. After reading the Mahabharata many times, listening to perspectives on the Mahabharata by scholars, and consuming the Mahabharata in different art forms, Abhilash ji has created Mahabharata Dialogues. Mahabharata Dialogues is a unique storytelling format that invites the audience to participate in the story and share their perspectives, thus creating a space for all listeners to engage more deeply with the epic. Abhilash ji is also the creator of the Beyond the Battlefield workshop to tell stories from the Mahabharata and train leaders in discovering leadership lessons from the Mahabharata. In today's satsang, Abhilash ji hopes to bring the joy of the Mahabharata to all of us, while also encouraging us to reflect on its relevance in our lives today. So Abhilash ji will be delivering this in 3 segments, so to speak, between which we will have interactions. So I request everybody to really pay attention and get into the message so that it will help them to interact better and also learn and take away value in their lives. So over to you, Abhilash ji.
Thank you. Can my share screen be seen with my video in? Could you just confirm that?
It's clear.
Perfect, perfect. Good evening, everyone. My name is Abhilash, and we'll be talking today about some lessons from the Mahabharata beyond the battlefield. A lot of times when we hear about Mahabharata, it is the war, right? And growing up, if we have seen the TV series by B.R. Chopra, or if we have seen a more recent TV series in Star Plus, you would see a lot of time and focus is given to the war aspect of Mahabharata, to the point that when we say there is a Mahabharata, the election Mahabharata that has happened, we literally say Mahabharata equivalent to the war. There is much, much more to the Mahabharata than the war, to the point that the war itself is a very minor aspect of it. I do these talks to encourage learning of lessons for life from the Mahabharata. And today, the person I'm going to use to talk about the learnings is Arjuna and the people who were his mentors. We'll be talking about 3 primary mentors here. One is obviously Dronacharya. A second one we'll be using is Indra, who also happened to be his father. And the third one, obviously, is Krishna. So these are the 3 people from whose point of view we will see Arjuna, and from Arjuna's point of view we'll see these 3 people. And in time, we will realize what lessons he learned and what we can take from it. This is a kind of session in which you are free to interrupt at any moment. I don't always keep a track of chat. So in case I miss the chat, do not hesitate to unmute and speak up or raise your hand in the Zoom platform, and I am happy to stop. I'm really good at talking non-stop, but I'm also good at stopping and letting the other people speak. So we can do this very interactive, or we can do it broken, like you were just told. Uh, Three good milestones would be after finishing Drona's story, after finishing Indra's story, and after finishing Krishna's story. Those would be great milestones. I will remember to stop there and wait for your inputs. Is that good? Should we begin?
Yes, that is. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Okay. So whenever we start telling the story of Mahabharata, we start with the first shloka in Mahabharata. The first shloka, some of you may know already, is Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Let's go back to the first line again. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam. What it is talking about is that after we have bowed in front of Narayana, who is represented by Krishna, and then in front of Nara, who is Narottama, which means Nara, who's the best among men. Who is this Nara? In the context of the vaster scripture, Nara and Narayana are two, indivisible pieces. Two people who are always named together. In the context of Mahabharata, they are represented by Krishna, which is Narayana, and Arjuna, who is Nara. Today, we talk about Arjuna. If you've seen the theme song of Mahabharata by B.R. Chopra, you'll remember that. Katha hai Purusharth ki, ye Swarth ki, Paramarth ki. Sarathi jiske bane, Shri Krishna, Bharat, Parth ki. That this is the story of Purusharth, which is the purpose of existence. The four purposes, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Swartha, which is, selfishness, self-centeredness. Paramartha, which is the ultimate truth or the ultimate purpose. But it is also the story of Bharat, Bharat being the descendant of Bharata, the king, Parth. A man so important that sometimes one of the names that the very god that we worship is Parthasarathi, which means imagine identifying the god as a driver of a man. This is the importance that is assigned to Arjuna in Mahabharata, and that is the character that we will talk about today. Arjuna had many mentors along the way. A lot of people taught a lot of things to him. Then again, that's true about most people in Mahabharata. Most important characters had a lot of mentors. Why is Arjuna so special? Arjuna is so special because they say when a teacher finds a worthy student, that is when the teacher's life becomes worthwhile also. It's not just the other way around. In the Indian culture, we treat the guru as a literal god. One of our prayers is Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. And by that, we basically mean God is literally Guru. Guru is literally God. And in a world like that, a guru's life becomes worthwhile when they find a good enough shishya or a mentee. A mentor's life is worthwhile when they find someone who's, when they teach that person makes the teaching worthwhile. And Arjuna again and again represents that hunger to learn, that hunger to put into practice what he has learned, and not just learn what has been taught, but also to distinguish between what was good learning and what wasn't. We'll see that also today. The first person who sort of becomes an important guru or a mentor character in his life is Drona. We'll talk a little about this Drona. Drona obviously is not the first person who started actually teaching the Pandavas and the Kauravas archery. Kripacharya had done that before. But when Drona comes in, he takes on the role of the teacher of Shastra and Astra from Kripacharya and becomes a full-time teacher. So you have to understand that two things are taught in those days to Kshatriyas. You have to learn Shastra and you have to learn Shastra. Okay, so Shastra is basically Veda Dhyana as it is called. That's a little too much for today. So let's put that on the side and let's focus only upon the teaching of using a weapon. And usually a bow and arrow is used as a representation of all weapons and all warfare. So when we say Dhanurvidya, the literal translation of that would be the art of archery, or Dhanurveda would also mean the same. But it's not just about archery, it is about all of warfare. So Drona becomes the teacher for Dhanurveda. And when we talk about Drona, when we talk about Arjuna, one of the most important stories that comes to mind is that one day, after some learning has been achieved by the students, Dronacharya wants to test. What does he do? He brings a carved wooden bird, places it upon a branch of a tree, points everyone to it, makes them stand in a line, and starts calling them one after the other. First, he calls Yudhishthira and asks, "What do you see?" Yudhishthira, forever being a poet at heart, starts describing the beautiful scene. He says, "I see a river stream flowing behind. I see the Kimshuka tree full of red Kimshuka flowers. I see the bees buzzing, the birds chirping. I see nature in its full glory. The sun is slowly setting, creating." And Drona will not have it. He says, "Stop. That's not what I'm looking for," and asks him to move away. He then calls Duryodhana and he asks, "What do you see?" Duryodhana says, "I see there are 105 people here, 100 of us, 5 of them. I am standing in front of the 100 people here, and I look at, opposite me, these 5. Drona will not have that also. He asks him to move. Bhima comes along. "What do you see?" Bhima says, "I don't know about see, but I smell something really good cooking in the kitchens." And Drona is almost frustrated now. And when he calls Arjuna, he does not expect anything good. He says, "What do you see now?" And the tone is not one of a, expectant teacher. The tone is one of frustration. And Arjuna replies, "Nothing." Drona says, "What do you mean nothing?" The kids start laughing, but Drona is intrigued. Now, Arjuna says, "I see nothing except the bird whose neck I am supposed to sever." Now, some of you are thinking, isn't it the eye? No, it's not the eye. The main Mahabharata story is very clear that it is the neck of the bird. It's some confusion that we have had with there being a Matsya Yantra, a fish whose eye he shoots later to win Draupadi's hand. And that eye and this bird gets mixed up together. This is clearly the neck. Anyways, it doesn't matter, because the core story has a different moral. He says, "I see nothing except the neck of the bird I'm supposed to sever." And Drona says, "Can't you see the stream? Can't you hear the birds and the bees and the beautiful Kimshuka flowers?" And Arjuna says, "No, I only see the bird whose neck I'm supposed to sever." And what does Drona do? He says, "Go ahead, shoot." Arjuna pulls out the arrow from his quiver, places it on his bow, pulls it up to his ears, and lets go. The arrow flies in the air and cleanly cleaves off the neck of the bird, and the neck falls down. Drona is super impressed. He turns to all the students and says, "This is what I'm talking about. When you have focus in your life, you can achieve everything." I heard this story for the first time in my life when I was about 8 or 9 years old from my grandmother. And I thought, what an amazing story. It's taken me about 30 years of pondering about the story to realize what a load of nonsense. This story makes absolutely no sense. Some of you are having one of your cherished stories being questioned in such a harsh manner now. And allow me to explain what I mean. This is one of the most useless moral stories I've ever heard, and I'll tell you why. If you are going to test someone on archery, what is the point of asking, what do you see? Allow them to shoot. Just because Yudhishthira and Duryodhana and Bhima did not give the answer that Drona was expecting, they were denied the chance to even attempt. Ostensibly, they might have hit the target. So, if you're going to test on subject A and ask questions on subject B, you're testing archery and you're asking questions on oration, I don't know what you're asking. And therefore, I wonder if in the early stages of his education as a teacher, was Drona being the right teacher, or was he making some mistakes along the way? One wonders if there is. I am not convinced that is the right way to choose. If I'm surprised somebody as boisterous as Bhima or as assertive as Duryodhana did not question the master then. Like, how does it not matter what I say? Let me shoot, right? But Drona was impressed by Arjuna. And from then on, he goes on to take a special interest in Arjuna. And once the education of his children is complete, and they ask, what Guru Dakshina should I give? They say, Drona says, go catch hold of the king of Panchala kingdom, Drupada, and drag him to his knees in front of me. The Kauravas try, they fail, Arjuna is able to succeed, and Arjuna drags Drupada, the king, to his knees, only to understand that Drona and Drupada had a childhood friendship of very close nature, which turned bitter when Drupada became a king and insulted Drona publicly. And everything that Drona has done till now has been an attempt to create a strong and loyal army for himself so that he's able to take down Drupada. Not a good look for a teacher. The first two stories that we hear of Drona, in both cases, we see that he has not been a very model teacher, not been someone that people would look up to. The third story makes it even worse. This man, by the way, Dronacharya, sure some of you know, the most important sports award in our nation is named after Dronacharya. The best coach of the year, sports coach that is named after Dronacharya. Not a good look so far. The third story that we know of him makes it sound even worse. One day, when the princes are practicing, a dog runs to them yelping. It's not able to bark, it's only able to yelp. And they look at it, it's not bleeding, yet its mouth is fully filled with arrows. Arrows that have been hit with such precision that they have shut its mouth, but have not actually hurt the dog. They run behind the dog to find out what has happened and see a young tribal boy practicing. And when asked, he says, this dog was disturbing me when I was practicing archery. So I heard the sound, and the direction in which I heard the sound, I hit the arrows and I shut its mouth. Now Arjuna is taken aback. A few weeks ago, He has been promised something by his guru. His guru has promised him that he, Arjuna, is going to be the greatest archer of all time, like ever. Both in history and in future, there will never be an archer like him. And yet, right next to his place, where there is a forest, you see, there is someone who is already better than him. Arjuna, who has all the facilities a prince can have, everything that a kingdom can afford, is not remotely as good as a tribal boy. Now, here's the thing. Arjuna goes back to Guru Drona and says, can you come help me with this? And this Guru and this Shishya go there, meet that tribal boy, and turns out Guru Drona has no idea who he is. Or at least that's what Arjuna thinks. When they ask, when Guru asks this boy, who are you? This boy replies, I am your student. You are my guru. And now Drona is confused, but Arjuna is heartbroken. This man, this teacher who made such a big promise just weeks ago, seems to be moonlighting elsewhere. He has a job already with the kingdom of Hastinapura, and he seems to be teaching someone else also. Drona is taken aback also. Drona says, I don't even know you. How can I be your guru? So Ekalavya says, being a tribal boy, I knew you would never teach me, so I never approached you. I built a statue of you. I built a murti of you. And for as long as that murti was looking upon me, that statue was gazing towards me, while I practiced, I knew your eyes were upon me, and that is what gave me the sense to learn. I consider you my guru and myself your greatest student. And he falls at his feet. If you are that guru, what would you do? You would be proud. You would be impressed. You would say something along the line of, I want to teach you more. What does Drona do instead? He says to this boy, you consider yourself my student? He says, yes. I am your guru? Yes. All right. I now declare that your education is complete. You have learned everything I could teach. It's time you give me my Guru Dakshina. And the boy says, what do you want? Some of you know where this is going. Drona says, give me the thumb of your right finger. The boy takes off a knife out of its sheath. He's heartbroken. He's shocked. But a guru's order is a guru's order. He cuts that thumb out and gives it to the guru as Guru Dakshina. Arjuna and Drona both watch it, remorselessly turn around and walk away. This boy from that day onwards is known as Ekalavya, the one with only one thumb, because the other was given away. Up to that point, we don't even know what his name is. After that point, he is barely ever mentioned. And one wonders, is this the lesson you would teach your student? A 12-year-old boy who has been made a promise of greatness might feel that, there can't be anyone better than him. But for a guru to think like that and to cut down the wings of a boy who has just begun to fly, so to speak, where is the dharma in that? Now, there is a justification to this. Who is this Ekalavya? He is the son of a tribal king called Hiranyadhanu. Who is this Hiranyadhanu? He is loyal to someone called Jarasandha, who is a sworn enemy of Sri Krishna, and by extension, a danger to Pandavas. But did Drona know all this? Did Arjuna know any of this? We can retroactively justify all this. But I want to leave you with a question. And the question is this: if the unintended consequences of your bad faith action lead to something good, was the action itself good? Does the society still owe you a debt of gratitude? Did you do something good, or did you do something so selfish, arrogant, and adharmic that it should not be celebrated, but instead censured? Now, here's the big point I'm trying to make. A lot of us believe that Arjuna went on to become a great archer because of Drona. I would like to submit that he went on to become a great archer in spite of Drona. If he had walked the kind of path that Drona showed him, he might have gone far worse than where Duryodhana would have gone. Instead, he picked and chose the technical lessons that he got, but he never once took the approach to life that Drona had given. That's his first mentor, Drona. Arjuna's greatness and how it depends upon Drona. I'm going to take a pause here, stop sharing my screen, and allow for a conversation whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Abhilash. So that's the cue for us, friends. Please do speak up now and ask your questions if you have any. Or maybe you can voice your opinions, how you think it might play out in modern relevance.
Yeah. Please remember, by questions, I always mean your opinion, your input. And if it is a disagreement, that is most welcome.
It looks like nobody else is yet participating, so just I'll kick it off with the first salvo.
Yes.
My thought is that we don't know exactly what the sensibilities of those times were, because measuring it in a modern context, it looks very wrong what Drona has done. I always thought it was right from the very first time I heard about the Ekalavya story. Sorry, I said Kannada with mistake. That a person could be so heartless. But in the olden days, I do remember that there was a time when a person should only do the duty of what they were meant to do and not somebody else's duty. That was considered adharma. So could that be an interpretation? I don't know. But at the end of the day, Drona does come across as a flawed personality, as we see later in the Mahabharata war. Um, because he was taking sides with what was prim and proper rather than what was right. That's my take.
Yeah, I have nothing to add to that, except that I am not entirely sure this is not part of your duty, so don't learn it is equivalent to give me your thumb and now I weaken you for life.
Yeah, that's a bit too harsh.
Yeah. I have heard the first two questions come a little slow, and then there is a flood of questions. I'm hoping for the second one, and then hopefully it will start.
I'm hoping for that as well, because sometimes people just put themselves back. But I think since we have thrown the floor open with a friendly overture, I'm sure people would come forward on modern interpretation to what has been, what's happened at that time, and something we can take away for our own lives. Revati ji, are you speaking up? Because I can see your name coming up. Would you like to say something? Okay. I think we have to wait for the floodgates for the next round.
All right. Well, we have two more mentors to go.
Yes.
All righty. I'm going to share screen once more. And that is it. That is about Drona. We now move on to a second mentor who makes his appearance a little later. I talk about Indra, but Indra does not participate in the affairs of mortals all the time. He meddles, yes, but he is not constantly interacting with mortals. We know where the story goes from here. To cut a long story short, Pandavas get their share of land, go build Indraprastha there, come play a game of dice. Although the word dice itself is a little tricky because it's just called gambling. It's not specifically called what kind of game it was. Either way, they lose everything. First, their entire land, themselves, and their wife. And in time, they lose, when given another chance, they lose everything and go into exile for 12 years plus 1 year of incognito. Now, as they go there, and they sort of settle into the forest, one would expect Kshatriyas who have fought the world, brought the world under subjugation, gone on to become Chakravarti Samrats, for as far as the world stretches up to the very mouth of the ocean. They have subjugated everyone, and everybody is under their suzerainty. And at that point, you see that they've been tricked, and their land has been taken over by Duryodhana with the aid of Shakuni. They go and settle into the forest as if nothing happened. Unlike in Ramayana, where Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita are very insistent and very clear and persuasive that nobody else from Ayodhya is allowed to follow them. They're going to have to go back, live their lives, and they will come back in 14 years when they're done. In the Mahabharata, though, thousands and thousands of Brahmanas follow along. Their head priest, Dhaumya, is with them, and wherever they are going, they are settling in a forest and they are performing massive yajnas. They're performing these sacrifices, and it feels as if Yudhishthira wants to use this time to garner a lot of punya and perform dharma along the way. And they've settled down like ascetics. Only one person seems to be thinking, this is not going to end well, because 13 years will pass like this. And when it does, and they go back, unlike Bharata, who was desperately waiting to return the kingdom to Rama on his return, Duryodhana is going to do no such thing. It is unlikely Duryodhana is going to return the land. Then what happens? And then they have to fight. With what? They don't have any armies, they don't have any friendship, they don't have any weapons. So Arjuna is told to go find some weapons, some divine weapons. And within the exile, he goes on to another exile in search of Indra. And when he reaches a forest in which he's been told that he might meet Indra, he sees a Brahmana, which is, spoiler alert, Indra in disguise. We see that this man, who is pretending to be a Brahmana, who's actually Devendra, the king of gods himself, tells Arjuna that you should first pray to Shiva, Lord Pashupati. And if he is happy, he will give you an astra, a weapon, so divine, so powerful, that you might not need anything else at all after that. So Arjuna starts doing a big tapasya, a major penance, scorching his body, not eating anything. He's reed thin. He's standing on one leg for months. He's surviving by eating only leaves for months. And after years have passed in this penance, one day he sees a wild boar is running towards him, like literally towards him, to his face, and is going to crush him. He opens his eyes, takes off an arrow, and shoots that boar. Now we have to understand, the way we are shown tapasya in a television series is that this man is closed his eyes and sat in silent contemplation. Tapasya was not just about meditation or stuti. It was also about literally scorching your body. Tapa means heat. So a lot of kinds of tapas were there. In this case, Arjuna is reed thin, he is weakened, and he is able to hit that wild boar with a single arrow. And as the boar falls and he runs towards it, he sees on the boar there are two arrows. A hunter approaches and says, I hit this boar first, it belongs to me. Arjuna says, no, it doesn't, this belongs to me. And they start fighting with each other. And Arjuna starts losing. This has never happened. Remember, he has the Gandiva bow, he's got two quivers with inexhaustible arrows, and yet he seems to be losing to some random hunter. That doesn't add up. Call it confidence, call it arrogance. See how Arjuna thinks. He thinks, I've been praying here for Pashupati for so long, and I am losing to a mortal man, which is impossible, I being the greatest archer in the world, and the fact that I'm losing makes me think. And as the thought comes to his mind, he puts the Gandiva down, the quivers down, and prays in front of Shiva and says, thank you for showing yourself to me. He never asked who that hunter is. The hunter was testing him, of course, and he is indeed Pashupati. The irony of Pashupati, literally the protector of animals, and his first appearance is to kill an animal, is a little interesting to note here. But Arjuna identified him as Shiva because no mortal could defeat him even in his weakened state. That is the kind of confidence he has in his abilities now. To cut a long story short, Shiva, Pashupati, gives him the Pashupatastra. He collects it, and Shiva leaves. A beautiful, beautiful Mahakavya called Kiratarjuniyam is written about this story. I would strongly recommend, if you're into reading Sanskrit poetry, Kiratarjuniyam is a great place to start. Then Matali, the charioteer of Indra, arrives, takes Arjuna to the heavens, and Indra introduces him to the other gods in this Indraloka, right? His friends and staff, so to speak. From Indra, he gets an Aindreya weapon. From Varuna, he gets a Varuni weapon and a Pasha. From Yama, he gets a Yami or a Danda. From Kubera, he gets some weapon. And from Agni, he gets an Agneya weapon. He collects all these divine weapons. He is now as strong as anybody else has ever been on this planet. And having collected all that, when he's ready to leave, what does Indra do? Indra does this, stretches the throne upon which he's sitting and tells Arjuna, come sit with me. And for a few years there, Arjuna lives in the Indraloka and rules the heavens, the earth, and the Patala. He goes to Chitrasena, yet another mentor, and learns music and dance, which will eventually help him in the 13th year of exile when he becomes Brinnala, the teacher of music and dance to Uttara. Why I'm telling you all this is to understand the mentorship style of Indra. Drona would go out of his way to ensure Arjuna wins. Indra is not like that. He will trust you only after he has tested you and he has passed. There is another way of mentorship, which is, I am not going to go out of my way to help you. You've got to prove your worth before you ask me for help. But once you've proved your worth, which is essentially collecting Pashupatastra from Shiva, it's almost like the head of the department has approved your worth. Now everybody else can do as well. That is the sort of mentorship that Indra offers. And in spite of giving all of these weapons, allowing him to literally rule the three worlds, at some point, Arjuna says, I want to go back. I've lived here long enough with you, father. Indra is surprised. He's like, what are you saying? The greatest rishis and sages on earth spend their entire life in penance in the hope that one day they get to glimpse. Somebody has to be muted, I guess.
Could everybody mute their audio, please?
Yeah, I'm done. I've done that. Okay. So Indra says the greatest people on earth, on the mortal realm, spend their entire life in the hopes that they one day are able to glimpse this Indraloka. You're sitting here and ruling that world, and you want to go back to Prithvi, to Mrityuloka as it is called. And he's like, yeah, I came here to collect weapons, right? What is the point of collecting all the weapons for my friends and my brothers and my family, and then staying back here after I've got them? The whole point of this was that I should be of some use to them. And this is when Arjuna truly proves his worth by declining the reward which is higher than the highest reward that humans crave. And Indra is now all for him. Indra is now going to go and trick a man called Karna, who's the other guy who would eventually be able to defeat Arjuna. The story that we know is that, like most of us know, is that Indra goes down to the earth when Karna is praying to Surya. And we got to understand the connections here. Surya and Indra are generally considered as the opposite ends of the spectrum, in that even when we use the word Indradhanush, which is a rainbow, it is Indra pointing his bow at the sun. Again, without getting too much into that symbolism, basically what's happened is Indra has come down and has told Karna that I am a Brahmana who needs some help. Indra has got the thing. Whenever he wants to trick someone, he disguises himself as a Brahmana. So he goes down, tells to Karna that, give me your kavacha and kundala. And Karna, poor guy that he has made this vow of being a Danveer and the one who gives, donates whatever anyone asks, he gets tricked and gives it away. In the Vyasa Mahabharata, in the critical edition of Vyasa Mahabharata and elsewhere also, it is very clear that Karna is not tricked or anything. This is a properly negotiated business deal in which Karna says, I'll give you my, kavacha, armor, and kundala, earrings, but what will you give me in return? This sounds a little icky, right? The Karna that we know wouldn't want anything in return. But the Karna that we know does not exist in the Mahabharata. It only exists in our mind because of how much hero worship has been done around him. Anyway, what does Karna do? Karna says, you give me a weapon that I can use to kill Arjuna. Indra gives him Ekagni. In return, he gets his armor. And now you will realize Karna has made an even bigger and better choice, because he is now ready to sacrifice his own life. He is, given away almost guaranteed survival in the war in exchange for a chance to kill Arjuna. I feel this is an even bigger sacrifice than, being tricked like a simpleton. Anyway, so why does Indra do this? Because between him and Krishna, they have figured out a way to get that Ekagni out of the hands of Karna also. So when the war happens, Ghatotkacha will come and become the Ekagni Havan. As in, he will fall to that Ekagni, take away that last weapon from Karna, so Arjuna is able to finally defeat Karna. It doesn't matter. What matters is that after Arjuna proved his worth is when finally Indra started taking much more role in his life. Now you might say, how is the adharma performed by Drona any better than that performed by Indra? And I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying that there are ways of mentorship. And I'm saying all of this because some of us, many of us, are at an age when we have to stop constantly looking for who will teach us, but instead start becoming the teachers and the mentors for another set of students. And I'm offering to you two models, one of Drona, one of Indra. These two options give us a sort of a weird picture of Arjuna. Did he ever work hard for anything that he got? Or was he this lucky Nepo kid, so to speak, whose path was cleared of all the thorns, who had a tailwind behind him that kept pushing him ahead? Whenever he faced a problem, somebody from somewhere will come and take that problem away. Ekalavya comes in front of you, take Ekalavya away. Karna comes in front of you, take Karna away. This is the sort of spoiled brat image that Arjuna has in some in the eyes of a lot of people, and it's mainly because another very important story in the Mahabharata is not very well known. That is something I would like to share with you today, and the story is this: when we have to go back all the way to Drona now. First of all, I painted a very negative image of Drona. Let's do justice to him because he did something spectacular. And that is that he had instructed, and this is back in the days when he was still learning, Arjuna was still learning the art of archery. Drona had done something. What had he done was he had instructed the servants and the cooks in the Hastinapura palace that Arjuna specifically should never be fed in darkness. He should not eat food in darkness. It's a strange thing to ask, but who is going to question the Guru? It was taken care of. So even when it was night, they lit up a lot of these lights around him and ensured that there was no darkness, and he was clearly in a well-lit room when he was eating. One day, something happened that changed everything. This is the twilight hour. The window is open. The lights are in front of Arjuna. Arjuna has started to eat. A gust of wind flows in and extinguishes the light. Arjuna's hand has gone up to the plate. He picks up the morsel of food and puts it into his mouth. The room is pitch dark. How long does this take? Kshanardha, says Vyasa. In half a kshana, half a moment, this boy realizes a profound truth about human life. He realizes if you've practiced something for long enough, you don't really need to see to perform it. You have developed a muscle memory for it. I know where the plate is, I know where the food is, and I know where my mouth is relative to the plate. I don't need to see it. I could eat with my eyes closed. And this was enough to take him down a certain path. And that path was morning till sundown. All the brothers and cousins would practice, and Arjuna would practice with them. But when the 100 cousins and 4 brothers went to sleep after sundown, this boy would stay awake all night, put a target, and practice at night, and shoot and shoot and shoot. In the morning, he'll come back and check how far he has strayed from the center of the target, adjust his hands accordingly, and continue shooting day after day, night after night. This goes on and on and on. When his right hand gets tired, he shifts to his left hand and continues practice. If you know an archer, you would know that the muscles of their dominant hand are the ones which are more developed than the one on the non-dominant hand in which they are just holding the bow. Arjuna is the only one who had muscles on both of his arms fully developed. He was called Sabyasachi for that reason. Sabyasachi literally meaning ambidextrous, that he could shoot with both hands equally. So he had two quivers on his back because he could hold the bow in any hand and shoot with any hand. People forget, or rather not know, about the sort of hard work he has put in. Drona obviously was not afraid of this. This is something that Arjuna figured out by himself. Drona was worried that he might go down the path of a sort of a forbidden, dangerous art known as Shabdavedi, in which you listen to the direction, the intensity, and the volume of the sound coming from far away and aim an arrow towards that sound and hit without seeing what is there. Everybody of importance whose stories we have heard, who has learned this art, have paid the price for it. Rama's father Dasharatha killed a boy and was cursed by the parents, the blind parents of that boy, Shravana Kumara. Arjuna's own father, Pandu, shot a deer and paid the price for it by being cursed to die of celibacy. Karna learned this, shot a cow in place of a deer, and got cursed by a Brahmana whose livelihood was killed because of his Shabdavedi. Arjuna doesn't go there. Arjuna doesn't go towards the forbidden art, but instead goes towards more practice and more effort. And that is what is going to make me better than most other people. So when we say he became a great archer, and that Drona did not have much part to play in this, and he became a great archer in spite of and not because of Drona, I do a little injustice to Drona in saying this. Drona did do this. And that was a major contribution, and that kind of lets him off the hook a little bit. Coming back to Indra, Indra has then played an important role along the way of Arjuna. If you remember the stories of Krishna, Indra and Krishna don't have a very jovial relationship. And in the Khandavavana, when the forest is burned down, Arjuna and Krishna take on Indra and kind of make him look bad in front of Agni. They get their weapons from Varuna with the help of Agni and sort of defeat Indra in that battle. So Indra did not have a great opinion about his own son, but when he proved he is worthy, he was willing to go out of his way to help him. And that is the second style of mentorship that you might want to consider. And with that, I take another pause, come back to you in the hopes that this time we get a few more questions.
Thank you, Abhilash. You really are a very good orator. You had us in raptures. So now if anybody else has any more questions, not anymore, please do speak up. Anything that any takeaways that you've had, any realizations so far?
Namaste, I'm Saugandhi. I missed a large part of your speaking, but I would like to listen to you when you speak next, because I just listened to the last 2 minutes, I think, and it was extremely interesting. So probably when you're speaking next, because any questions I may have, you might have already talked about it. There have been questions for long in my mind, but I wouldn't know if it's appropriate to ask you now, because you would have already answered this probably during the session, because I just saw your take on what you were talking about, Drona and Arjuna's skill. Shabdavedi, you were referring, who didn't go down? Arjuna didn't go down, but who went down the path? Were you talking about Ekalavya or something?
I was talking about Dasharatha and Pandu and Karna, the three people. Arjuna did eventually learn Shabdavedi, by the way. I don't mean to say he didn't learn it, but he didn't learn it at an age where it would have become a problem.
Did you talk about Ekalavya today?
I did.
Oh, then I missed that part, so I don't know. I would want to hear. Is there a recording of today's session by any chance?
There will be a recording, Sagandhiji.
Yeah. Will you be able to share it? How do I get you to share
It
it
will
with
be
me?
uploaded on our YouTube channel, and you can go it to the Thursday Satsang playlist where you'll get the updated version. Soon after this meeting, we'll upload it.
Okay, fine. Dhanyawad.
Perfect.
But
Thank
if you
you.
do
And
have
any
any,
future talks, how do I get this? I got it through a group, some other group forward.
Kindly
So,
drop your number in the chat box so that I'll take your number and add it to our school group.
yeah, Dhanyawad. That's nice. Dhanyawad. I'm just adding my number.
Thank you.
and if you do have any questions about Ekalavya Sakandiji, please do feel free to ask.
Okay. I heard one take on it, saying that he was actually a person who didn't have much control over his probably emotional intelligence or whatever. That's why he shot the arrows at a dog that was a helpless being. So,
Mhm.
and that is a reason why he was not taken as a student for further training, because they were not sure the path he would choose in future.
Mm.
As proved in later context also, they said. So is it
Right.
true? Is that your take?
Well, at this point, your guess is as good as mine, but my take is slightly different. I think you will get my take in the video. It's a longish take,
Okay,
and
fine.
it's not pro Drona. That's all I can say.
Okay. And I also felt, I used to feel that everybody supports Karna, but they don't look at the fact that he did do some wrongs, like he instigated the Kauravas to actually misbehave with his own sister-in-law, because he knew that he was I think he knew it. And also the thing about where he says that he is being, like, every competition has some, I don't know if I'm overstepping, you can stop me at any point.
No.
The
Keep
thing is,
overstepping. It's fine.
where he they say that they are Pandava, his skills in the competition which they have for the Yuvarajas at that time. That's when Duryodhana says, "Come, I will offer you a kingdom."
Right. Okay.
Actually, every competition has a rule, so it is not justified that anybody be allowed into it just like that.
Fair. And I'll tell you this: since you're focusing on Arjuna today, and more specifically, not even on Arjuna, but the way his mentors influenced his life, I feel one of these days, if you would allow me again, I will do an entire Karna session. And in that, I have some takes about Karna that we can discuss also.
Okay.
Okay.
Dhanyawad.
Thank you.
Dhanyawad.
Anybody else? Any other questions? We move on. What do you say?
Yeah, I have one. My name is Arun Kulkarni. Just I was wondering, like, if Karna is getting in trade with Indra for exchanging certain things, why would he risk his own life, which was, like safeguarded by the Kavacha and Kundala?
Why? Because he believed that he owes
He is
his
also going
entire
to
life
die
as debt to Duryodhana.
in terms of killing the obsession of killing Arjuna. So he's risking his life as well. If he would have had the Kavacha Kundala, he would live as well as he would have killed the Arjuna.
How? That was the question in his mind, and that's my take at least. Because the Brahmastra that he was taught by Parshurama was taken away from him, and he had no divine weapons which were strong enough to kill an enemy as strong as Arjuna. So he wanted something which cannot fail. So when Indra gives him Ekagni, he says, you could take this, aim and shoot Yama right now, and Yama will fall, and death will be finished from this world. That is the kind of weapon he found in exchange. And what he did in exchange was the ability to safeguard his own life. I think it actually makes him greater than we give him credit for. In that, he owed victory to Duryodhana. That's what he says. You have trusted me with all this, and I owe the victory of this battle. I will promise to win this war for you, but with what weapon? Since he did not have a weapon, he put his own life at stake. And in place of that, he bought a chance. He took the defense away in exchange for an offensive weapon. So that's basically it.
Okay, okay.
Again, if this was a
hello.
Karna session, I would have gone much deeper into this, but I don't want to stray too far from the topic on hand.
I want to say something. I think Mahabharata, whatever characters are there, each character represents something about them. And that should be taken into consideration rather than comparing and saying he should have done like this and why he did like this.
Right.
So Ekalavya was a great Shishya. He just did whatever his guru asked him. Drona was a great teacher who wanted to take revenge on Drupada, but wanted it to be done by a Kshatriya. And so he asked Arjuna, he trained Arjuna to do it. Karna gave his whatever he had, Karna Kundala and all, only because he was a great Dani who would give whatever anybody asked. So we should take that as a thing rather than saying, why did he do it? And why Drona said that. We should take each character as their good examples and try to imbibe in our lives.
Right.
Instead of
that's a fair interpretation also, Veena. The interpretation I go for is much more humane in the sense of, as humans, this is what they did, this is what they were thinking. In my mind, if we put to if the answer is that this is what they did and stop there, I think we stay 2 steps behind what else we can learn from it. Again, if you are in Bangalore, we do these things called Mahabharata dialogues in person in JP Nagara and Kormangla. In there, we go much more deeper into these things. One of these days, I would like to see some of the people here. If you're from Bangalore, please feel free to join. I will share the details of that with Swati, and hopefully she'll be able to share with you all.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on then, all of you, because we are at 7:30 already, and I have a character that hopefully some of you are waiting for.
Yeah, well, if nobody else has any more questions or points of view, we could probably...
Sir, kindly do an announcement, like if anybody would like to join the group, they can drop their number here so that I'll add them.
Yes. Anybody who wants to be kept informed about what is happening, when it is happening and all, please put your phone number in the chat on Zoom, and Swati will add you to a group or keep you posted.
Yes, we have a WhatsApp group. We have a few WhatsApp groups, in fact. The School of Ancient Wisdom is quite active in that. So if you leave a name and number, you will be added and you will get the updates regularly.
Wonderful. Okay. Alrighty then. Moving on to the character that hopefully some of you are waiting for at least. And that is this man, Krishna. Now here's the thing. We need to know a few things about Krishna before we get into this conversation, because it can be a little complex otherwise. The Krishna that I am talking about today is the human Krishna. I'm not talking about the divine Krishna, the God, the avatar of Vishnu. There is space for that conversation elsewhere, but today I want to look at Krishna in relationship with Arjuna in a way which is not a divine relationship. Krishna was Arjuna's best friend. He was also his worst critic. Krishna was like a light on the dark path upon which Arjuna often walked. Krishna provided support as a pillar of stability. He was a shoulder upon which Arjuna could cry. And Krishna was the sole voice of reason in a world that Arjuna often did not understand. The moment we think of Krishna as a divine entity in this story, what we lose sight of is the amazing lessons that Krishna offers Arjuna beyond the Bhagavad Gita. We are not even touching Bhagavad Gita today. Just the lessons that he offers Arjuna are, something that can make a major difference in all our lives. If we turn the clock back a little more, now go back to where they have just been given a patch of land, a Khandava Prastha, it's a barren land. And Krishna says, look at the forest connected to that, the Khandava Vana. It's so rich in how it has grown, the land cannot be all barren. This piece that you have is barren, this isn't. So, with the help of Agni, they burn down the forest. Now, let's not go into the ecological impacts of this, because back in the days, the only way to find new land was by burning down a forest. And it's the reality of humanity for a long, long time. So let's not go into questioning the animals that died in it, the trees that were burned down, an entire ecosystem that was destroyed. That is how all of us have cities today. Okay? What Krishna does is that let's burn down this forest. And when they have started settling in, he says, and supports rather, Rajasuya Yajna. What is Rajasuya sacrifice? It is a sacrifice that you perform by doing Digvijaya, or victory over all directions, and bring a whole kingdom under you, the whole world under you, and you become what is called a Chakravarti. Now, before that was done, the current threat to Yudhishthira and a challenge to him was someone called Jarasandha. Now, Jarasandha has had a problem with Krishna in the past because he was related to Kamsa, who was Krishna's uncle that Krishna had killed. And Jarasandha wanted to eliminate Krishna, because of which he had to leave Mathura, go settle into Dwarka and all of that. And finally, he realized that Jarasandha cannot be beaten in open battle, and he takes Arjuna and Bhima to the Magadha kingdom, and there has Jarasandha challenge Bhima and get into a Malla Yuddha, a single combat, and killed. In doing that, they rescue hundreds of kings, almost 100 kings rather, and the Rajasuya Yajna is performed. Yudhishthira is the greatest king of all time, and Yudhishthira throws it away like this, loses to Shakuni, walks away. We heard the story of what happened with Indra during that time. Then they go settle into Virata's kingdom, the Matsya kingdom, and there they live in incognito. 13 years are complete. They say, give us our kingdom back. Duryodhana says, nope, your kingdom will not be given back to you. And the war is almost declared. Now, Krishna is a very powerful player in this world at the moment. He has one of the most powerful senas of all time. It's called the Narayani Sena. So, when the war is declared, Duryodhana on this side and Arjuna on this side start going towards Dwaraka to seek Krishna's help. Now, Krishna and Duryodhana are also related. In that, Krishna's son is married to Duryodhana's daughter. Samba is married to Lakshmana or Lakshmane, who is the daughter of Duryodhana. So by that connection, he goes to Krishna for help. Arjuna obviously is Krishna's best friend already, so he goes to help. And in the bed chamber when he's sleeping, they both go there, ask for their help. And what does Krishna offer? He says, here are your two choices. On one hand is me, all alone, unarmed, and unwilling to fight. And on the other hand is the entire Narayani Sena. What do you want? Think for a moment, which idiot in his right mind would pick one person in place of an entire Akshauhini of army? Turns out, this idiot, the Arjuna that we have been talking about since an hour now, he says, it would be nice if you can come with your army also, but if you're making me choose between you and your army, I didn't come for people. I didn't come for fighters. I came for you. And in many interpretations of the Mahabharata, it is seen that the war, the outcome of the war rather, was decided in this final choice that Arjuna made. Because imagine if he had chosen that army instead of Krishna, and Krishna had gone on that side, what would have happened? On the first conch shell sound of the war as it begins, Arjuna goes into a deep despair, a depression, that he is unwilling to fight. He can't kill his brothers and his cousins and his Pitamaha and his guru and all the people who were friends on the other side. He says, I would rather accept apayasha or inglory, but I will not kill these people. Which person in the Narayani Sena would have been able to come back and revive him? It was Krishna, who happened to be there because of a conscious choice Arjuna had made, who was able to then sing a divine song, the Bhagavad Gita as it is called, and revive him and remind him of his duties as a Kshatriya and to fight. And when he starts fighting, 10 days go in the war and nothing of significance happens until Shikhandi enters, and with Shikhandi's aid, Arjuna is able to defeat Bhishma. Bhishma falls, doesn't die. Drona takes over as the, commander, and 3 days after he has taken over as commander, he creates something called Chakravyuha. Drona creates a Chakravyuha, which is an offensive vyuha or formation to capture Yudhishthira and end the war. Arjuna and Krishna are busy fighting the Samshaktaka army elsewhere. Little 16-year-old Abhimanyu walks in, doesn't know how to come out, and dies there in an unfair battle between one person against 7 Maharathis. And Arjuna makes a vow. Arjuna says, I am going to kill Jayadratha by sundown tomorrow, and if I am unable to, I am going to jump in the fire and die myself. Everybody all around him is impressed. And what a great vow to make. Krishna is disappointed. Krishna is angry. And he actually goes on to scold Arjuna in front of everyone. This is a story that a lot of us don't know. Krishna is furious. He says, how self-centered do you have to be, Arjuna? I thought I told you the Bhagavad Gita lessons to tell you that your duty as a Kshatriya to fight does not end just because your son died. What did you expect will happen in a war? Millions of people have died, and you are saying that your son is more important than all of those people, that you will die if you are not able to kill one person? Imagine what will happen. And that's what happens, by the way. Duryodhana and Drona are going to go out of their way to protect Jayadratha. You will fail, you will die, and we will lose this war. The next time you're going to make a stupid vow like this, you've got me to answer to. This time I'll make sure this happens, this works. So he takes him, wins the battle with Jayadratha with a little bit of trickery, and Arjuna somehow survives. Eventually, in a couple of days, Drona will die. Karna is going to become the commander. Karna will not die. Karna is far too powerful. He keeps fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting, and decimating the armies of the Pandavas, until one day Yudhishthira has had enough. Yudhishthira comes to Arjuna and says, what else do you want? We took away his armor. We let Bhima's son Ghatotkacha die so that the Ekagni is gone. He's been cursed by Parashurama. We have weakened him in every possible way, and yet you can't kill this man. What use is your divine weapon, Gandiva? Throw it away, Yudhishthira says. That was a mistake, because here's the thing. Back in the Khandava Vana, when Arjuna had received that weapon, Gandiva, from Varuna, he was very, very excited, and he was very fond, he became very fond of that weapon. He's telling all this, by the way. Arjuna is telling all this. He was, that Gandiva weapon was like of him, a part of him, so to speak. It was not a separate weapon that he carried. It was him, in a way. It represented Arjuna. And they say he used to have it by his side all the time, and he never ever put it down, except on two situations. Once, when he was facing Shiva in Pashupatastra episode, and two, when he drops it and says, I can't fight anymore, just before Bhagavad Gita was recited. And he had made up in his mind a vow that if ever anyone insults Gandiva, I am going to kill them. Do you see what's happened here now? He has made a vow to kill anyone who insults Gandiva. Now we live in a world where people don't go around insulting other people's weapons. Nobody has done it till now. The only first person to ever do it is his own brother, who happens to be the king, whom Arjuna has taken the responsibility of safeguarding. Some of you have heard the term called Dharma Sankata. I offer you a classic case. What does he do now? If he fulfills his vow, Yudhishthira dies, the war is over. If he does not, he lives in infamy. He will end up killing himself, who knows, and the war will end. There is no positive consequence out of this vow. Everybody is lost. Arjuna has taken an arrow out and started pointing it at Yudhishthira. Who's going to save the day? Krishna, of course. Krishna comes to him and says, and pay attention, because everything we have talked about so far has just been stories. This is why I do what I do. What Krishna tells Arjuna now is the most important lesson in my mind. He says to Arjuna, listen, when we are growing up, we expect the world will be a certain way. We expect the world will live up to the expectations we have set for ourselves. We will get what we want, but the world doesn't work like that. And when things that you thought do not happen, you don't sulk and cry. You don't go back to the promises you made to yourself in childhood. I will retire by 40 years. I'll be the greatest writer in this world. I'll be a great musician. I'll be famous. I'll be rich. All these things that you told yourself in your childhood or in your adolescence, if they don't come true, you don't live in the past, because the past is over. Forget about that vow that you made for yourself and accept the practicalities of the world we live in with pragmatism that is necessary to survive and thrive. Forget about that vow, because if you fulfill the vow, you will destroy everything that we have built together. And imagine Krishna saying this in a world where people say, Pran jaye par vachan na jaye. Jo wada kiya wo nibhana padega. Where making a vow and keeping it is the most important thing, Krishna says, break the vow. Look at the practical needs of today and then decide what to do. And Arjuna puts his bow down, turns to Krishna and says, because he's not fully done yet, he says, I agree. I am going to break my vow, but I can't live like this. I made a vow to kill. I didn't. How can I live like this? And Krishna is nothing if not an expert in finding the right loophole that will save the day. Krishna says, I'll tell you what to do now. Insult Yudhishthira. Arjuna is taken aback. Krishna says, insult Arjuna, and in doing so, you would have killed him. Because when you look at someone who is your elder or who is better than you, the word used is better rather than elder. If you insult him, it is equivalent to having killed him. And Arjuna says one word, Tvam. Some of you know Sanskrit. There are two words, Bhavan and Tvam. Bhavan is with respect. Tvam is with, you speak, not disrespect as much as it is spoken to people of your age or below you. In Kannada, we would say Neevu versus Neenu. In Hindi, you would say Aap versus Tu, right? Tvam is like that. And by addressing Yudhishthira, who deserves to be called Bhavan, as Tvam, Arjuna has technically killed him. And now, Arjuna says, having killed my brother, having insulted my brother, how do I live in this world? I'm going to kill myself also, because I should not have insulted him. Krishna finds yet one more leaf in the book of loopholes and says, you know what? I'll give you the right punishment for having killed your brother. The answer is yes, you should kill yourself. And how do you kill yourself? You kill yourself by praising yourself. He says, Atma Prashansa is equivalent to Atma Hatya. If you tell how great you are, if you tell the world what great achievements you have done in your life, it is equivalent to have committed suicide and died, because you should not speak good about yourself. You should wait for others to speak it. For the next half hour, Arjuna goes on to talk about every great achievement he has ever done, and thereby fulfill the condition that after having killed his brother with one word, he has killed himself by Atma Prashansa. The war goes on, and the rest they say is Itihasa. But when the war is finally won, when Duryodhana is gone and Ashwathama is gone and the war is won, and Yudhishthira finds out that Karna was actually their brother and they killed him, he goes into a depression so deep that it is worse than the one that Arjuna went into. Everybody tries to revive Yudhishthira. But Krishna says, go seek Bhishma's help. He will help you and help you recover. And I want to bring this talk to an end on that note. If you are to go down the path of becoming a mentor for some people, you have a few choices. If you're looking for mentors, sure, you have a wide variety. But if you want to become one, you have a choice on what model to follow. You could become like Drona, but there are risks to being a Drona. You might be so obsessed with one goal that you might yourself make mistakes rather than correcting your students. It's possible that your other students who learned along with your one favorite student, so to speak, will not respect you the way Arjuna does. You also have a choice to become like Indra, in that you start trusting people only after you have tested them. But once they have passed the test, you are willing to go as far as it takes to help them. But, and I say this with no sense of ego or arrogance or to demean anything, you have a third choice, and that choice would be to become like a Krishna for an Arjuna. And what I mean by that is that an Arjuna is waiting for a Krishna. Karna became a disaster because he had no guidance. Bhima could have been a big disaster. In the beginning, he was far worse than Duryodhana, in that the way he treated the Kaurava brothers caused a lot of problem. But he was also willing to listen to reason with Yudhishthira and became better. But Arjuna became the greatest of them all because he had a Krishna who would guide him at every step of the way, tell him when he is doing wrong, scold him when he had made a mistake, stop him from doing stupid decisions. And when he was down, he would pick him up. But being a Krishna is not easy. It comes with its own challenges, because one day it is possible that a Yudhishthira might come to you and seek your help. Was Krishna capable of helping Yudhishthira? One must assume yes. Krishna could very much have helped Bhima, Yudhishthira also. But what did he do? He said, go talk to Bhishma, because right now I am invested in my Arjuna. I hope one day that you find an Arjuna and you go on to become a Krishna for that person. And also, if you are an Arjuna, someday I hope you find a Krishna in your life who will make all the difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abhilash. That was really captivating. You had us in raptures. I think your delivery skills, your oratory skills are really excellent. And I'm sure you've inspired many of us. Actually, what you've done today is opened our eyes to a basic truth that perhaps we should all be seekers, to be on the spiritual path in some way or other, and inspire others to do the same, because that's the need of the hour at the moment. So that's how I interpreted, whatever you told us today. And if anyone has any questions, please do speak up. Or if you want to express yourselves, please do speak up. We've actually almost run out of time. We have about 5 minutes.
At some point, I would like to take a moment also and talk about a retreat we are planning in the School of Ancient Wisdom itself, which is revolving around Mahabharata. Do you mind if I do that first and then we take questions?
Please go ahead, Abhilash.
Okay. Hang on. I'm going to stop my video. Okay. All right. So, first of all, thank you so much for all the people who were part of this. I hope it added some value to you. What we are doing is something much more long-term than this, which is we are doing a Mahabharata Dialogues retreat. Okay. Today you heard an hour's worth of, how we approach Mahabharata and what we can learn from these epic stories. The retreat we are planning is a 2-day retreat. And we're covering a lot of ground on that. I invite all of you to come join it. We are doing this on 3rd and 4th of August. And there's a lot of this. If you want to take a screenshot, please feel free to take a screenshot of this now. Basically, the schedule for that retreat is that we'll be telling a story called Vows. We'll be talking how Mahabharata is relevant to today, how Vyasa, Vidura, and Vasudeva are metaphors for clarity, conscience, and courage. We'll have a dance drama performance, Mohiniyattam. We have a fun game, Gesintam. We have Kings of Mahabharata and what we can learn from what they did for their kingdoms. We have a quiz. We have a fantastic performance by a great actor. The 10th day. This is a performance on the life of Karna, and you're going to love it. There is poetry recitation. There is, fun at the end, and we'll talk about uncomfortable tales from Mahabharata also, because Mahabharata is not all soft and simple stories. There are stories of lust, there's stories of violence and disgust and death. We'll talk about all of that. We also have day 2, in which we will have a storytelling masterclass, in which if you're interested, you can sort of learn the art of storytelling itself. Like, how do you pick a story and then tell it in a way that keeps people hooked? We have something called hands-on Dhanurveda, in which we will make some arrows and fill an entire quiver. It's going to be super fun. We play a game called the Vyuha Strategy Games. We have a Mahabharata roast battle. We have a session called Communicate Like Krishna. It's almost a corporate training session on learning how Krishna communicated and learn from it on what we call situational communication skills. we'll discuss the most important shloka from Bhagavad Gita, Karmanyevadhikaraste. We will dig deeper into some nerdy stuff about what are names, where do names come from, why is Vasudeva's son called Vasudeva, why is Pandu's son called Pandava, and so on and so forth. We will do something called butterfly effect, just tales of complex connections. Why did Krishna get shot in his feet and passed on from the mortal realm? Is there a connection somewhere? Some of you know the connection to Sugriva and Vali from a previous yuga. So those sort of connections and long interpretations, we'll get to that. And we then have a Kannada art form called Talamaddale. And inspired from that, we'll be doing an English conversation called the Last Dialogue. So all of this is going to be there. And we have the check-in, check-out, what is covered, what is not. All that details are here. The pricing is here also. If you want to join us, please get in touch with, I think, Swati. Can I ask you to take down the number and pass on to me, if that's okay? And these are the prices. The early bird price, if you sign up in the next week or so. And if you sign up till 31st July, that's the price. And I look forward to having some of you there. It's going to be an amazing, amazing experience. And we are working really hard in the background for this. I look forward to having some of you there. And
we
that
can't
completes...
see the pricing. We can't see the pricing. Can you? The screen is only.
The prices are the early bird price till 30th June 24 is 9,900, and the actual price till 31st July is 12,690.
Okay. I'm not sure why the price is not visible though.
I could see it. I don't know why.
Okay, I'm seeing it from the phone. I can't see it.
Okay.
I'm able to scroll.
It's 9,900 until 30th of June, and then 12,690 until 31st of July, if you sign up for it. It includes stay and food and some really good pakoras have been promised.
Okay. This is in Devanahalli.
Right.
You said
This is in Devanahalli. Yeah, the School of Ancient Wisdom.
Okay.
That is located about...
That is my time.
Thank you so much, Abhilash. If anybody has anything to say or any questions, we have just a brief 2 or 3 minutes left. Now's the time.
In the group that is formed, can you also share the link to the talk and the recording link to the talk and probably the brochure which he talked about, the retreat brochure also?
I think the retreat brochures, probably you have to get in touch with Swati. And she will do...
Any number where we can reach the person?
Swati, which number should they contact you on?
I think she's not there, is it?
Yeah.
She's left.
I'll put my phone number in the chat.
Yes, please. Yes,
because this was being recorded, I didn't want to put it on the screen because it goes on YouTube. That's all.
You can put the phone number, please do.
I can put my phone number in chat now. Okay.
Yes.
So anybody wants to reach out, please feel free. Because I know the video goes on YouTube, I was being a little careful not putting it on the shared screen. That's all.
Okay. Okay, fine. I got it.
This is my phone number. Reach out to me, and if you want to sign up, I will help you with this.
Okay. Dhanyavad.
Thank you.
Very nice listening to you. Actually, I enjoyed it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes. So, to do the vote of thanks on behalf of the School of Ancient Wisdom, Abhilash, it was really very interesting. Your style of delivery was really captivating. I think of course, most importantly, the content was superb. And I think we're all taking back some value from this in our lives right now. Mahabharata is something that happened many centuries ago, but it still has its relevance today, obviously. I think it's more the Mahabharata is happening within us, the so-called good and the so-called bad, are in a state of flux. So we have to really distinguish, we have to decide on what we should do at every stage in our lives through our growth and our inner wisdom, which is the Krishna format of the Guru, as I understand it from your talk today. So thank you so much. And yes, probably we'd love to have another session about Karna, as you were mentioning. Probably Swati would be happy to do that, arrange for another session like this. And your retreat looks very, fun and promising. So those who are interested, please do take that opportunity. The School of Ancient Wisdom is a lovely place. It looks like a resort, but it's actually an ashram. It is located on the IVC road, about 10 minutes from the airport trumpet flyover. So we definitely want to look forward to seeing you all next week once again at the same time. And to end the session now, we will do the Loka Samasta. So for all of us who have prayers that need to be sent out, this is very effective. I've experienced it firsthand. Think of your loved ones, think of your friends or anybody in your community who might need the prayer, be it their health, be it their other situations in life. Also, let us send out these positive vibrations to the world at large in these times of war, and let the higher consciousness prevail. So please sit straight with your back, neck, and head aligned. Take a deep breath. And let go. Observe the silence within, which is the language of the soul, as we all connect with one another and to the source. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Until next Thursday.